my freaking chest. We in the stew, baby. What it do? Man, oh man. We're going to see what happens tonight. We're going to see what happens tonight. We're tapping into a live. We never did this before. We're going to see how this goes. First of all, I want to give all the credit in the world to Nate. This is his interview over on East Idaho News. Obviously, though, I want to watch it with you, so we're having a little watch party. This is going to be interesting, man. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know if he's going to be able to say anything about Lori. I don't think he will, but nonetheless, I'm interested. Maybe there'll be some coded messages. I don't know. But either way, I'm excited about this interview. So it's so good to see you guys, and yeah, we're ready to go. So let's hang out for a little bit. I'm excited for this interview too. I'm excited to know what is going on here, because I never thought I'd see this day. I'll be honest with you. I don't think I ever imagined that I would see the day where one of the judges actually did it before retirement. So we'll see. What is going on, everybody? Good to see you. I don't think we're going to get a strike on this one. We are tapping in live on to their live. This has happened a million times before. If they do, then I could understand that. And if that happens, then we'll just react to it a different time. I highly doubt it will. It could. It's always a possibility. You never know with YouTube. But we'll get there. So we got about 5 minutes. We're going to watch the entire thing live. I just don't know what to expect, to be honest with you. Let's see what we got going on over here. What we got going on, huh? Hey, that's me. I could watch our own live if you want to watch our own live. We got the hookah of everything. What's up, guys? Yes. So you guys know I've always had no issues with Nate, because obviously we're a text away, and he's always I've been very clear. Like, I've always asked. It's not something that we just do. On this one particular, I did not ask to react to it. But that's not something I felt like I needed to do. Guys, let him live his life. He's got his flip-flops on. There's nothing wrong with it. Let him live his life. I don't know. I wonder if Nate came to Arizona to do this interview, because that would make sense why he's got the flips on. Because I don't know how you guys in Idaho would be wearing flips right now. It's not going to happen. But again, if Nate has a problem with it, then I would respect him 100%. This is his interview. Obviously, though, I am very excited to see what happens here. If for some reason YouTube takes our stream or hits our stream in the middle of it, then we will react to it tomorrow. But I'm not really that worried about it. I'm going to put my headphones in. Most of us are wearing flip-flops in Arizona. I mean, it's the hookah of everything we got going on here. Oh, yeah. I'm actually really excited about this interview, man. First of all, I love interviews. I love conversations between people. I'd love to get to know Judge Beresky. First of all, I want to say something really positive about Judge Beresky. As you guys know, watching the trials, watching someone be that patient with this kind of weight, with such a public case, and have to do it twice and be disrespected, I feel like he was so unbelievably amazing. And, I just have a ton of respect for him. A ton. So he did a great job handling Lori. It's not an easy job. Almost nobody can do it. So I give him a lot of props. A lot of props. Yeah, I think he is an example to all human beings on patience. And I think that he is an amazing judge, very patient, very kind, and he held it together when I think 99% of the time people would lose it. He only went off on her one time, which she rightfully deserved, probably more. Yes, we are watching Nate's interview live. We are watching Courtroom Insider live. Yeah, he is so patient, so kind when she didn't deserve it. And you know what? He's a good example of you should not let anybody influence you. You act how you should act, and that's it. You don't let somebody rile you up. You don't let somebody push your button so much that you start acting out of pocket. So just a great example of patience, and yeah, I love that. Yeah, he's looking tan, and I'm not looking tan. So, oh man, it's good to see you guys, man. Kira said, "Hey Coles, would you mind shouting out my firstborn? It's her 20th birthday. Happy birthday! What's her name?" So yeah, so you guys know this isn't live for Nate. This is a premiere of his video. So we're watching it either way. Oh, it's counting down, man. I'm excited. I hope you guys are excited too. Yeah, we will pause though, just so you guys know. So I'm going to say right now, before this stream starts, if you just want to go watch this thing uninterrupted, it's over on East Idaho News. You can find it. I think I have the link in the description, but I will make sure it's down there. But I will be pausing a little bit. What is this new joint they got going on? The hookah I've ever done. I'll get rid of this chat. Oh, we're in business, baby. Let's go. Whatever the countdown is, I want this. This is cinematic. Frick's going on? Whoa, hold on. I'm fixing it. There we go. Frick going on over here, man. We had some wild stuff happening just now. There we go. Alright, fixed it. This is the most. This is wild. This is the most beautiful intro I've ever seen. I feel like I'm at Illuminations. Heart's pounding like I'm about to freaking run out the tunnel. Let's go.
Welcome everybody to Courtroom Insider. It is Monday, November 17th, 2025. I'm Nate Eaton. Thank you for being here. We have a lot of people here. So no matter where you're watching from, no matter what questions you have, please comment below. Let me know where you're watching from. And if you have any comments or questions, and at the end of the interview tonight, I will try to answer as many questions as I possibly can.
Arizona.
Tonight, it's an interview that I have really been looking forward to bringing you all weekend long. I posted a photo on Saturday on my Facebook page of me and Judge Justin Beresky. And a lot of you commented, hundreds, actually, between all the platforms, thousands of comments, a lot of them about his flip-flops. And you all have a very keen eye. He was in flip-flops, and more than that, we had a great interview. I want to make it clear right off the bat, we don't talk about Daybell. We don't talk about Lori. We don't talk about the case. We don't talk about the crimes. We don't talk about the convictions. We don't go anywhere near that. And that was a condition that I offered up to Judge Beresky. Now, let me give you a little bit of background before we get to the interview on how this conversation came to be. Believe it or not, I actually have interviewed judges before. It is very rare. Usually there's a purpose behind it. Well, obviously there's a purpose behind it, but it's not like I can sit down and be like, all right, you convicted a guy last week. Why'd you do that? I've interviewed judges at the end of their careers when they look back on prominent cases they presided over. I've interviewed judges over other stuff. Most of the time, though, I speak with judges off the record, or they call to give me background information, or I know their receptionist. And then there are some, not their receptionist, their law clerk or whoever's helping them out. Then there are some judges that want nothing to do with the media. I was in a hotel lobby once, and a judge was staying at the same hotel, unbeknownst to me. And unbeknownst to him probably, and he saw me in the lobby in the breakfast area and turned and immediately walked away. So there are some judges that don't want anything to do with reporters. I can respect that because it can be a little challenging and not challenging, but there can be issues that you might worry about if you speak with reporters. And that is why I appreciate Judge Beresky being willing to talk. Years ago, I was a brand new reporter, maybe a year or two on the job. I was at the Madison County Courthouse in Rexburg every day, and I was often had my.
You guys still feeling good? We know now. Just so you guys are aware, we're not going to hear a word about the cases. Nothing about it.
I was the only reporter there. Often I'd have my camera set up in the corner of the courtroom, and Judge Brent Moss would come in, and I'd cover what was in his courtroom. And I remember there was one day where I think the defense was sick. Anyway, I was all set up, and the hearing didn't happen. They had to vacate it. And the judge looked over and said, hey, young man, would you like to come into my chambers? Have you ever been into a judge's chambers? And I'm like, no. And he goes, why don't you come back and take a look? And he took me back there with the bailiff, and he showed me his office, his chambers, and all these legal books. And we sat down, and he told me about why he got interested in the law, and how when he sentences someone, he considers this, this, this. And he let me ask him questions. This was an off-the-record conversation, but it helped me as a reporter understand what was going on and how this judge thought. I've never forgotten that, and I've appreciated judges, well, most judges. I've appreciated them, as they could probably say they appreciate most reporters since then. So a bit of background there. I reached out to Judge Beresky's office back in when Lori's trials were still going on. I believe it was the first one, Lori Vallow. And
this is crazy, by the way, because like he said, it's not often you get to talk to a judge.
I sent a letter saying I'd like to interview Judge Beresky, mainly because Judge Beresky is from here in Idaho. Here he grew up in Idaho in a little town called Grangeville, and decades later, he's presiding over a huge case that's live all over the internet and all over court TV and everything every day, and it has Idaho ties.
That's wild.
He went to U of I Law School. He has these Idaho ties. And so I pitched the idea of doing a profile interview to get to know him, his thoughts on the law, why he became a lawyer, his family, things like that. He wrote me back, but it went to my junk mail. And I didn't know that because he wrote me back a few weeks later and said,
not the junk mail. That sucks.
And I'm willing to discuss this with you, but I need a few more details. Can you call me? And then I'm like, oh my gosh, he wrote me back and I missed it. It went to my junk email. So I called him and I said, listen, I'm not going to ambush you about Vallow. I'm not going to, I understand that there are guidelines that I have to follow. And one thing led to another, several weeks of back and forth and whatnot. And he finally agreed to an interview. And I appreciate that. So
Nate's just got a hairline that goes right across. I just would love that. I would love that, Nate.
Again, we're not going to talk about Daybell Vallow, but I do think you'll get a new insight, I hope, on Judge Beresky, on who he is as a person. He became this internet star that many of you women love. And a lot of you
That's what I'm saying, bro. People think they be feeling Judge Beresky, man. They be feeling him.
men love and comment on, and Judge McSteamy, Judge McDreamy. I do want to tell you that at the end of tonight's episode on EastIdahoNews.com, we're publishing a full written story about him.
That's cool,
interviewed
man.
his a kid that he was friends with since the 5th grade, who still lives in Idaho. I interviewed him. I interviewed his former law partner. I interviewed a couple of attorneys that have worked with him. So there's more context to him. So without me talking anymore, here is my interview with Judge Justin Beresky. First of all, Judge, thank you for chatting with me today. I want to go back to the beginning. What was life like for you growing up in Idaho?
Life was good. Grangeville was a good place to grow up. We lived out in the country outside of town, but it was a sort of a neighborhood with a number of kids around. Things like riding bikes all summer, riding your bikes to town to go to the pool, playing hide and seek in the summer, and skiing in the winter, and lots of outdoor activities, camping, going to the rivers. There's a couple rivers around Grangeville, or going up into the forest. It was good.
So I guess I looked it up. North central part of the state, population around 3,000. So
Yeah.
I imagine your high school was kind of small.
So there's no wonder he's so chill. He grew up in a very, very different environment, rural environment. That little orange thing is mine, by the way. Oh, that's mine. He's right there. Yeah. Frick this.
It was, I guess it depends on where you're from.
Right, yeah.
Probably small by most standards. So I think I had, I want to say 60-something people in my graduating class, and probably the bulk of those people, the majority, I had known since kindergarten.
Wow.
That's
So-
crazy.
So did you all know everybody in town?
Maybe not, but you knew someone that knew someone else. So by maybe 1 or 2 degrees of separation, you did know everybody in town.
Yeah. Did you anticipate when you were growing up that, oh, I'm always going to stay here, this is going to be my life?
If you had asked me where I saw myself maybe when I was in the middle of high school, I probably would have said I would have returned to Grangeville and become a high school teacher.
Wow. High school teacher and became a freaking lawyer, then a judge. That's crazy. That is the opposite.
What piqued your interest in that?
When I was in 3rd or 4th grade, I took some sort of basic aptitude test, and it's actually kind of funny. It said I should either be a teacher, a lawyer, or a garbage man.
You guys should probably go get some water because I can tell you're thirsty. You're thirsty for the judge. Go get a Dasani and chill out. Put the fire out.
So I don't know what the relationship is, the commonality between all 3 of those, but I, in a way, did 2 of those.
Right, yeah, well, and it was fortuitous. Did you think at that time, oh, a lawyer, what's that? Or did you?
I don't remember. I mean, I had an idea of what lawyers did, just a very abstract sort of idea, but I don't know that at that age I would have had a very good idea of what it was. We had a big trial in Grangeville when I was in 6th grade. It was actually a capital case, and it kind of captivated the town for while it was going on. It was 2 brothers that had been accused of committing a murder in the Forest Service, National Forest, and they both got sentenced to the death penalty. I think they're still alive.
Wow.
I think it's been up and down. There's been a reversal.
Oh, wow.
One of the brothers got commuted to a life sentence. I think the other one's still on death row, and that was in.
You know what's interesting to me, and simply just, he's so nice. You can tell how genuinely nice he is. And that's what makes this even make me more sad, is because he's so nice, he had to deal with Lori at such a horrible way. And I don't know why that makes me sad for him. It just makes me feel sad for him.
1986, I think. Somewhere around there.
And you remember that?
Yeah, I remember that, yeah.
And
So I think that was what first got me interested in, or came on my radar as far as courts and lawyers and things like that.
so what did your parents do for work?
My mom stayed at home, was a stay-at-home mom for most of my childhood. She got a realtor's license and did a little bit of that. She had a side business. She would go into other people's homes and
Love you too.
give women consultations on what colors were good for them to wear and that sort of thing, like fashion sort of thing. She actually put on a fashion show
That's nice.
in
That's
Grangeville when I was in 6th or 7th
He's
grade.
got nice hair, bro.
I think, with the local J.C. Penney providing all the clothes and
wow.
everything.
Were you one of the models?
I was. I think
That's it. He was a model. You called it. He was a model.
she has a picture in her living room where I have my sister on one arm and my sister's best friend, and we're all dressed up going down the runway, so to speak.
Oh, that's cool. So does she still help you pick out your outfits?
No, that would be a disaster.
Okay.
She likes purple a lot. A lot of purple.
A lot of purple. Well, nothing. Some people love purple. Tell me about Border Days.
Oh, Border Days is a big deal.
Yeah.
That is anyone who's grown up in Grangeville or any of the surrounding communities knows about Border Days. It's a big celebration every 4th of July. That's when people have their high school reunions. They come back to town. It's just an unwritten sort of notice to everyone. If you're going to come back and visit, that's the weekend to do it. So depending on when the 4th falls, it's a 3-day thing. It could be the 2nd, 3rd, or 4th. It could be the 3rd, 4th, or 5th. And they have every day there's street sports in the morning for the kids, races. We have a giant egg toss.
See, that's what's so cool about like places that are smaller in community. Because I'm telling you right now, we never had anything like that. Our neighbors didn't like us growing up. I mean, I moved around every year, but that's so cool. Like, I just love that you actually could go home and see people you knew. That's so cool.
Yeah, I read that it's the largest egg toss in the world.
Yeah, so everyone lines up on Main Street at something like 8 or 9 in the morning, and you start throwing an egg to your partner back and forth, and the distances get greater and greater and greater. And usually the person that wins, the pair that wins, is they're throwing it about a full city block and catching it. And there's thousands of eggs smashed on the Main Street. And then there's a rodeo and a parade every day. And
Yeah, the state's oldest rodeo, from what I read. Did you ever win the egg toss?
I never won the egg toss. I have had friends that have, and they take it very serious, I think, still to this day.
And I imagine there's trophies or ribbons or something.
You know, I don't know. I remember being a kid in the street races, they'd have different age groups, and you would run the 50 yards or whatever it was, and they would always hand out 50-cent pieces to the winners, and that was always a big deal when you were a kid.
Right. So notable people who come from Grangeville, according to Wikipedia.
Oh.
George
You can't use Wiki. Come on now. We can't have the Wiki page out here.
and Warren Cowgill. Matt
He doesn't know what that is.
Hill, he's an NFL tackle. Larry Ramos, a Grammy award-winning singer. Ken Schramm, an MLB pitcher. Do you know any of those names?
Matt Hill and Ken Schramm, I've heard of, yes.
I'm surprised your name is not on the list. I would imagine you'd become notable. What happened after high school? Where did you decide to go to college?
I went to the University of New Mexico. My dad had moved to New Mexico when I was in high school. And you know, the typical high school kids, a lot of them think, oh, I need to get out of this state. I need to get out of town. I'm going to go out of state, find some new exciting adventure. So I went to the University of New Mexico.
Oh, we talked about what your mom did. What did your dad do?
My dad was a chiropractor.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It was in Grangeville. It's an interesting mix between, it's on the Camas Prairie. There's a lot of farmers there, but it's also surrounded by national forests. There's a lot of loggers and a lot of back problems that came with that. So my dad had a pretty decent practice there.
Is that why you have such good posture?
I've never been accused of having good posture.
Oh, okay. Well, it maybe kept him in business.
Yeah.
So, University of New Mexico, and how was that experience?
I really liked New Mexico, and I liked, for me, growing up in Grangeville and then moving to Albuquerque, it was like this big adventure. I was like in a big city for the first time in my life. And now being in Phoenix, Albuquerque doesn't seem like it was that big of a city anymore. But yeah, I went to the University of New Mexico, my degree in secondary education. So,
so you did study education?
Yeah, in college.
Wow, dude, he really was going to be a teacher. Like he was really going to be a teacher and became a judge. It's insane.
At that point, I was still planning on becoming a teacher.
And did you have a subject you wanted to teach?
So my senior year of college, I student taught at a local high school. I did U.S. government, I think. It's been a long time. U.S. history and government civics type courses, yeah.
When did you decide to switch?
To law?
To law, yeah.
I was about to graduate at 21. I was only at 21, and I thought it's a little early to maybe get tied into a teaching career. Why don't I go to law school and just see what happens? So I didn't really have a specific.
So he's so smart that out of nowhere he's like, yeah, let's just test out law school. Let's just see what happens. That's crazy. That's next level confidence. Yeah, I'll just see what happens. I'll go to law school.
Idea. I just thought, well, I'm not done with school yet, so I took the LSAT, applied to some law schools. Yeah.
Was it because you were something particularly piqued your interest, or was it just more, you've got the time, let's go see if I like it?
Yeah, it was more of that. I just didn't think I was ready quite yet to start a career that might take me for the rest of my life at age 21.
And when you got to law school, did you decide, I want to go back home to Idaho, or did you just apply all over? And
I applied at several places. Idaho was a big factor, though, because I could still get in-state tuition, and it was a fairly inexpensive school, and I'm very happy with my decision. I think the education I got there was great, and I paid so much less than so many people I knew. I knew people graduating with $100,000 plus in student loans, and I got out of Idaho for a fraction of that.
It's crazy how much money you're paying for education, for real.
Is the best thing about law school?
It's insane.
Huh. I don't know if I have an answer to that. I really enjoyed the trial week that we did before our final year, where you get together with other students in your class and you're trained on how to do a trial, and at the end of the week, well, you learn the different aspects: cross-examination, direct examination, and at the end of the week you put on a trial. And that week, I think, really galvanized for me that I'd like to be in the courtroom when I became a lawyer.
And now you were just in Idaho doing the same thing as an advisor, right?
I recently went back to Idaho and got invited back to teach that program, to be one of the teachers in that program, yeah.
And was that the first time?
Yes.
And what was that like?
I've been wanting to do that for a while, and I got invited this year. It was great. I loved it. You see the progression between, it starts on a Saturday.
You know what first thing that comes to my mind, you have to listen to the evidence, but when it's such a strong case, oh my gosh, how do you not form your own opinion? That's the most interesting thing to me about a judge. I know it's the jury's decision, but you have to stay as middle ground as possible. That's got to be the hardest part of it.
It goes through the following Friday.
And listening, obviously, to every grueling detail and all the horrible things and seeing all the horrible things.
The progression of the students and how much they improve and get some trial skills in that week, and their confidence and just learning, it's really rewarding.
Would you ever go back and teach law school full time? Combine that passion of education with the law?
Sure, if the right opportunity came up, I'd definitely consider that for sure.
You get your law degree, and is that when you start looking for jobs?
So I was pretty naive graduating law school. I didn't really know how to get a job. Back then, most jobs you look in the newspaper, right? On Sunday, they had big classified ads, pages and pages of classified ads. I didn't even know about the bar magazine where most of those ads are, and you don't get that until you actually pass the bar and they mail it to you. So I wasn't even aware of that until after I had passed the bar. So in waiting for your bar results and taking the bar, I should say, and waiting for your bar results was several months. So I literally walked into different law firms and knocked on the door and, tried to find my way in.
I really like this guy, man. I really have always liked him since like I think our first time we all reacted to him. I remember his calming presence, and I just immediately was like, that's somebody I would want to be around, just to talk to. First of all, he's so articulate. He can say everything he means without any pausing. He's not. I don't know how to explain it. He's just very articulate, kind, just a good guy, man. Just give him a big shout out. He's a good guy.
Were you doing that in Moscow?
No, and I had moved to Arizona after graduating.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Why Arizona?
I had connections to Arizona, and I knew that I liked the climate. I'd been here before several times, and I just thought it was going to be a better job market. I was naive in that sense too, because I thought I'd come to Arizona, Phoenix, and be here for a year or two, and then maybe take a bar somewhere else and move there. So I had no plan to stay here, and then it just sort of happened. I got into this career here and have stayed and plan on staying until my career's over. So.
Was there a particular aspect of the law that you liked, like prosecution, criminal, civil, defense?
So I knew that I wanted to be in the courtroom, and to be in the courtroom on a regular basis, the best option is criminal law. So in civil practice, most of the practice is done outside the courtroom. It's a lot of litigation pre-trial. A lot of the issues are litigated pre-trial.
You know, that's another interesting thing I want to pull out real quick. You have to remember, all the stuff that they do is really in the practice facilities, right? Like when we watch court, that's game time. They're on, it's happening, the lights are on, they're playing. But everything they do is all the preparation, all the hours and hours. You guys heard how much information just from Lori's trial there are. All of the pages that they have. It's insane.
Be in a courtroom regularly, it's either criminal law or family law. And I didn't really have a preference for defense or criminal, or defense or prosecution. I just, the prosecutor's office, I had put in an application there, and they called me, and I went through the process and became a prosecutor for the Maricopa County Attorney's Office. Did that for a couple of years.
That was your first job?
Yeah. Well, my second job. I worked for a little bit for a civil practitioner. When I said I was walking indoors and trying to find a job, I literally walked in, I went in the yellow pages and I didn't really know what I wanted to do, so I looked in the general practice area of the yellow pages, which there weren't very many law firms that just did a general practice. And I walked into several of them with a resume, and I think the guy that hired me was kind of taking pity on me and throwing me a bone. He hired me, and I was kind of more of a paralegal more than anything else for him, but he gave me my first job, and then when the prosecutor's office called, I went there.
So you started in prosecution.
Mm-hmm.
Were you actually making arguments in front of a judge, or more assisting the prosecutors?
No, the great thing about here in Phoenix, whether you're at the Maricopa County Attorney's Office or the Public Defender's Office, if you get a job there, you're going to be in the courtroom right away. You're going to be arguing cases. Back then, we would go out to the justice courts, and they'd give you lower level cases at first. Traffic tickets, misdemeanors, DUIs, those sorts of things. But you were in the courtroom right away, and I think I did my first jury trial within 2 or 3 months of working there.
Do you remember what it was?
Yeah, it was a DUI trial in justice court. And actually, the defense attorney was a really well-known, high-profile defense attorney, and he would have absolutely mopped the floor with me, but the person that was my second chair, who was my mentor, kind of had to take over partway through the trial and help me out quite a bit.
And did you guys win?
We did win.
Oh, okay. So good. Your first jury trial,
Yeah.
you win.
Yeah.
How long were you with the prosecutor's office?
2 years. 2 years.
And at that point, were you just ready for something new, or how did you transition?
I feel like I did not know that you had to be a lawyer. I know that sounds stupid. I didn't know anything about judges. And so when Kelsey and I were discussing this, she was like, he has to be a lawyer first, right? And I was like, wow, that makes so much sense to really study law. But it's crazy. Like the whole judge side is just a whole nother world of law. You have to know everything. It's got to be complicated.
A number of things that came into play at that time. A supervisor came in that I did not get along with, and was sort of a micromanager, and in my opinion had some ethical issues and these sorts of things. And so someone I had met at the county attorney's office I had become really good friends with, and we decided we were going to go into practice together and open up our own office.
And would this be defending people?
No, not at all. We opened up an office, and when you're opening up an office, you kind of take...
Hold on, slow down. Ray, I don't even know what Ray's doing right now. He's probably just hanging out. But he's not as thick as Ray. The thirst tonight. Get the fire hose for everybody out here. I knew when we turned this man on the screen, I knew what was going to happen.
Almost whatever comes into the door. So we did all sorts of things. We did civil, we did family, we did small claims type stuff. We did some bankruptcies. It eventually did evolve into mostly criminal defense work, though.
And what was that like, kind of starting this business on your own, hoping that clients come to you and hire you so that you can make a living?
It was kind of scary, and I probably should have been more scared than I actually was. We opened our office in the end of June 2001, and then September 11, 2001 happened a couple months after we'd opened. We didn't know how that was going to affect anything. Everything was thrown in turmoil, and whether what was going to happen. Was that going to affect people even wanting to hire a lawyer? We just didn't know. So I just remember that very distinctly when that happened.
And you end up defending people. Mm-hmm. And what was that like, going from the prosecution side to the defense side? Did it take a different set of skills?
I think it does take a different set of skills somewhat. You have to have a certain bedside manner you have to build a rapport with your client. A lot of times getting your client to trust you that your advice is what's in their best interest, because sometimes you have to tell them things that they don't want to hear, or you have to tell them things that maybe are probably bad news for them. Also, it's just a different type of advocacy when you're prosecuting versus
what are you guys
defending.
saying? 1, 2.
It's just a different
What's
way
happening right now
that you have to present to the.
I just looked down the chat.
Jury. I think when you're a prosecutor, you have already a little bit of built-in credibility and gravitas with the jury, just from the nature of being a prosecutor. So you have to work a little more as a defense attorney to
keep saying Ray's name.
That sort of consideration with the jury, I think.
Do you recall a case?
Can you imagine, bro, if he actually let loose 1,000% on what he thinks about Lori? I would pay so much money to sit in the room and just hear what he thought. As the outsider, I can't even imagine. Keeley said type 1 for Ray or 2 for Judge. This is getting out of hand.
With the defense attorney,
I need mods for the mods.
Was extra challenging, or one that sticks out to you where you really had to work extra hard?
That's what you guys are saying. Wait, 1s and 2s. I'm watching the interview. I look on the screen. And I'm like 1, 1, 2, 1, 2. I'm like, who's 1 and 2? It's Ray and the judge. Is that what we're doing in this chat? This is unholy at the body shop.
I don't recall having to work extra hard, because I'll tell you that I think I put in the same amount of effort on
every case. Yeah.
Every case, whatever it calls for, right? I do recall cases that I felt were more stressful because of the particular set of facts or what was at stake, for sure.
There's people that will look at, law shows, Law and Order or whatever.
Oh, don't stroke Ray's ego like this.
Even real life trials, and they'll say, how can that
homie would never get over this
defense attorney represent someone so vile? Or how can that defense attorney, why would they even want that job? Do people ever say that to you, and what's your response to them?
Sure. I mean, I've had my own family members say, how could you represent someone like that? So, they're people. When you get to know them, they've done something perhaps very awful. But in the end of the day, you're just trying to make sure, to a certain extent, the process works and that their constitutional rights aren't violated, that everyone follows the law. So people say, oh, that person got off on a technicality or whatever. Well, I don't think constitutional rights are technicality, And I've had people that were truly innocent of what they've been charged with. And those are difficult cases too. So I don't go into a case thinking you're guilty.
We added in
innocent.
A whole nother person.
I just go and
Frick is 3 going on here. Aquaman, this chat's out of control.
get the best result that I can for my client.
We're out of bounds
And
here.
did you ever say, did you do it?
No. No.
Do you want to know, though?
Sometimes you might have a suspicion, but part of the reason you don't ask your client flat out, did you do it, is because if your client decides they want to testify, you can't put someone on the stand if they're saying
Christmas
something
crack?
that you know that they've told you different. In other words, you can't allow them to commit perjury on the stand. So there's that reason. There's other reasons that you wouldn't ask someone if they did it or not. Now, if they decide that they want to testify, you're going over their testimony and things like that, you can do that. But sometimes in a case you don't want to know, and it doesn't really matter in defending someone when you're just trying to get the best result that you can for them. You know, I'd have clients that would say, oh, you know, you just think I did it, or you're just working for the prosecutor's office, or, you know, that can be difficult because some of these legal concepts are hard for them to grasp, and you can explain to them, it doesn't matter to me if you did it or not, I'm still going to try to get the best result that I can for you.
Do you watch legal shows?
I've watched, over the years, yeah, I used to
can't
watch.
imagine if you work as some kind of actual lawman or anything to do with it that you'd want to go home and watch those shows, just because I would be I'd be so annoyed by the judges. If I was a judge, I'd be so annoyed by the cops. Like, things would just annoy me. We got Brad Pitt going on in here. Someone said Aquaman. Kelsey said Three's Christmas Crack. I don't know what the frick's going on here.
Law and Order back the original run. I don't know. I think it's still on. Maybe it's
Still on, like season
iteration.
95. Or...
Yeah. That one was kind of realistic in the sense that some of the arguments and some of the courtroom scenes were kind of realistic. Other ones that drive me crazy, my wife and I, we watched Suits for a while, and it's so ridiculous. I mean, someone gets charged with murder and they're in trial 3 days later, you know, or CSI where the DNA results or the magic fingerprints are run through this thing and they have matches on everything in 10 minutes. It's just, it doesn't work that way at all.
Have you seen Jury Duty on Amazon?
I have. It's funny.
I guess they're coming out with another season.
Oh, I thought it was hilarious. I mean, a lot of it was very cringy that I don't think would actually ever happen.
Yeah.
But it was, I thought it was entertaining, I have to admit.
I thought it was pretty good, yeah. Okay, so you have your practice, you're defending people. Were you looking for something more in your career?
Not specifically, no. Are you asking why, like...
Yeah, how did the judge position come about?
So really what happened was I had a really bad experience with a judge in court, and the judge was being just rude, unnecessarily so. And
to you?
To me, to everyone.
So he said, this judge is rude, I'm going to be a judge. Frick dis. Be the change you want to see. This guy is an example. Listen, I'm not going to weigh in here. You know, I'm not going to weigh in on my man crushes of actors and things that I think guys who are good looking, like the guy from Arrow or Aquaman or Thor, or, you know, just you know, the guy from Teen Wolf that I thought was good looking. I'll tell you what, I'm not going to play that game with you. So get back to the interview.
This thought just popped into my head was, I could do better than that. And I had never really thought about being a judge or anything at any point. And I think that thought kind of took seed and it kind of developed. And after a while, the more I thought about it, the more I thought I really could do a good job as a judge, I think. And that's where that started.
And how does the process for that work in Arizona or in Maricopa County?
In Maricopa County, you have to go through a vetting process. So you apply to be a judge. A committee meets. A committee's appointed by the governor. There's a number of attorneys on the committee. There's a number of regular citizens on the committee. There's a Supreme Court justice that usually chairs the committee. And that committee, I think it's about 15 people. They go through all the applications. They vet the applications. They check references. They try to call collateral references. And then they decide who gets an interview. Then you go in front of that committee and you do an interview, and that committee decides whether your name should be forwarded to the governor's office.
Wow, that's crazy.
Then the governor's office most governors have historically interviewed candidates. Some haven't in the past, but then
That's insane. That's a process and a half. Thanks, Kelly. My gosh. Listen, real men will tell you that dude is a good-looking guy. What's wrong with that? Just like girls think the same thing about girls. Guys can be like, dude, that's a good-looking guy. Good-looking actor. Whatever. Frick dis.
interview with the governor or some of his staff or her staff now. And then the governor makes an appointment, appoints you to the bench.
And is that what happened with you?
Eventually, I didn't get through on the first time or the second time. It took a few applications. Yeah.
Wow, dude.
And tell me about, didn't you serve time as a commissioner?
Yes.
So how did that process work?
It's a similar process, except you're hired by the presiding judge of the Maricopa County Superior Court. So the equivalent in Idaho, I think, we call ourselves Maricopa County Superior Court judges. I think you have district judges, and it can be more than one county.
Yep.
And then you have magistrates. So our court commissioner is similar to you.
You know what I'll say too? I will say, number one, I respect anybody who can pull off a shaved face. I cannot do it. Second I shave my face, you guys go crazy. The whole world goes crazy. I turn like I'm 16, 15 years old. This man, he's got it going on. And you know what? Real G's wear flip-flops. So don't give him crap for his toes. Real G's are comfy, and he's sitting here and he's pulling and he doesn't even know it. That's a real G.
Magistrate in Idaho.
So you decide to apply for the commissioner role, and you get that. And what type of cases are you handling at that point?
Me personally, or in general? I started out in the probation violation court. And then I got, after that I was assigned to, as a special assignment commissioner, which kind of means you're, have legal pad will travel. You get plugged in to fill different spots. If a judge had retired from a particular rotation, family court, you get plugged in to handle that calendar until a new judge is appointed. So I did that for several years too, which I think helped my application process because it showed that I could
hold on. Kelsey took me to go get a pedicure with her, and I was like, I'm never doing that. Don't ever ask me that. She asked me for years. I'm like, no, I'm not going to be caught dead in there. First of all, go in there, bunch of husbands in there enjoying their life. I sit next to my wife. I'm like, you know what? This is fine. She goes, give him the volcano. I get the volcano. They bring out hot rocks. They did bring out the hookah of everything. They wrap my legs. I mean, it was one of the best feelings I ever had in my life. They sugar scrub through your calves. That was crazy. I was like, bro, all the husbands need to just lose your pride. It's not a girly thing to go take care of yourself. And you're in there with your freaking wife, and it's the best feeling ever. Like, it was amazing. So the volcano was next level, and I'd do it again. So
judge calendars and, go in and handle these different calendars.
And are you called a judge or a commissioner?
Commissioner, yeah.
So Commissioner Beresky.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
And you didn't get in the first time to be a judge or the second time? Third time?
I honestly don't remember. Third, somewhere around
Somewhere
there.
in there.
Third, fourth.
And is this over a series of years?
So we have 100 judges in Maricopa County and 80 court commissioners. So with 100 judges, we would have several retirements a year, 2 or 3 a year, sometimes 4 or 5 a year. When I was appointed, 3 other commissioners and I were appointed the same day as judges. So at that time there were 3 vacancies. So we must have had 3 retirements.
Listen,
So
slow.
you're just waiting for
Listen. It's not your. First of all, we're not out here getting our toes painted. Okay, you go in there, they clean you up, they get all the dead skin off you, and if you get the volcano, it's hot rocks. They wrap your legs. It was next level stuff. I've never done it, so I was like, I don't know what this is, but it was next level stuff. So just trust me. Slow. Listen. Just, you don't know until you tried it. Okay? They don't do anything to your toes. They just clean you up.
To retire when you put in for it.
Yes.
What was the feeling for you when you got finally selected?
Relief.
Yeah.
It's a process because applying to be a judge, you have to
We're so off topic.
people for help, which I really don't like doing. ask people to call people on your behalf, call someone at the governor's office. Do you know anyone at the governor's office? You're trying to find these different inroads to get that leg up over the other applicants.
So you get accepted and you become a judge. The governor swears you in?
I don't think the governor swore me in.
Oh, somebody swears you in.
Someone swore me in.
you
I think it was at the Secretary of State's office.
Okay.
Yeah.
And do you remember your first case that came before you?
As a judge, I stayed on the same calendar I was handling it, which I was on a family court calendar at the time. So the only thing that really changed was my title.
Your title.
Yeah.
And hopefully your pay.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So talk about the rotations. You're in the family court rotation, which is something that is different than in Idaho, where in Idaho you have a district judge and they handle everything for life. They're not, whatever comes in front of them. Yeah. How does it work here?
So I think because of our population, Maricopa County is approaching 4 million people, if it hasn't already passed that. 100 judges, 80 commissioners. I don't know how many years ago, in the 80s maybe, they decided to specialize into these different departments. So you have a criminal department, a civil department, a family department, a juvenile department, and then there's a couple very small departments, which is probate, tax, and there's a mental health department. So those judges, if you're in the civil department, you're only handling civil lawsuits, civil cases. If you're in the criminal department, you're only handling criminal cases, so on and so forth.
And you don't get to choose.
You don't get to choose. You can put in a request that, hey, I'd prefer, this is my number one choice. So every January, maybe it's December, every December the presiding judge sends out a memo to everyone. It says there's going to be some rotations coming in the next year. We'll consider your first, second, third choice. Tell me where you're currently presiding or where you're currently serving and how long you've been there. So you fill out the memo. It's just a one-page thing. First choice, criminal. Second choice, juvenile. Last choice, family.
And you started in family.
I started in family.
And what
I
type
did
of cases are
a
those?
total of 4 years in family, which is all divorce, custody, a lot of custody, divorce, people fighting over visitation with their children, child support, splitting up assets and debts, all those sorts of things.
You go from family to where?
Criminal.
Criminal. And now recently you've been transferred over to
juvenile. So juvenile is parents dealing with the Department of Child Safety comes in and takes their kids because they're on drugs or they're abusive or they're homeless and they can't provide for their children. A bunch of different reasons kids can come into care. The kids end up in foster care or group home, or hopefully they can get placed with a relative so they don't have to go into a foster care or things like that. Dealing with parents that get their rights to their children terminated, unfortunately. On the other hand, sometimes there's some happy endings where kids have their biological parents' rights terminated, but then they get adopted by another family. So
somebody listening to all that might think, man, that's so depressing.
It can be. It can be. Yeah.
What?
It can be very heavy. Some days you're reading these reports and you're talking to these lawyers and parents, and you're trying not to really picture or think about what these kids are doing, living, serious mental health issues. They're living in a lockdown facility. They're 13 years old. I mean, it's got to be horrible.
Right. Was it in some ways easier to do criminal?
Yeah. Criminal was easier than family because in family, you're dealing with people that are a lot of times being irrational. They're spending literally thousands of dollars in attorney's fees fighting over a set of dishes that's worth a couple $100 because of the principle of the matter, right? In criminal court, it was easier to make someone happy that had to go to prison for 5 years than the people fighting over the dishes. And I'm not kidding. I'm not exaggerating.
Good. I can see your point. 5 years. Oh, good. It's not 10.
Yeah, right.
Do you have a section that's your favorite? Or as a judge, you're not supposed to have
I like
favorites?
criminal. I was very comfortable in criminal because that was my background. So I felt like I did a good job in criminal as far as.
And that's what we need to say real quick. We need to remember it's very rare that you would ever have a big case like Lori's, where it's so much. he didn't have to deal with the kid's side, but still, like, unbelievable how much actually went into Lori's.
Settlement conferences and trials and those sorts of things. So that would be my number one choice. Just, I don't know if it's the comfort factor. The good thing about our rotations, though, is it helps keep things from getting stale, gives you something new. You have to learn a new whole area of law that you haven't practiced before. So a lot of learning curve.
By observation, you run a very efficient courtroom. Is that kind of how you've always been?
I think so. I don't have an answer to that. I just run it how I run it. You know, I see it. I think I'm efficient. I was efficient in family court. I guess they do track statistics of how long you've had a certain case open, what's your average case length, settling cases. There's all kinds of statistics that they keep. How long you have cases under advisement, meaning how long does it take you to rule on something. And yeah, I am efficient. How I do that, I don't know. It's just innate for me.
Did you learn that or observe that from another
You know Nate is fishing right now. You know it.
judge or something
He's
along
like,
the
oh, you run a very tight courtroom. It's like, how do you not ask?
way? Because, you know, I've been in a courtroom where a judge can talk for 30 minutes when they really could have done Beresky style and said it in a minute.
I guess everyone has their own style and what they're comfortable with. I used to give more soapbox speeches in family court when I first started, and then the same people would keep coming back, and I got a little discouraged not knowing how effective those were. So I think I'm more selective now on my getting on the soapbox.
Why do judges not comment on their cases?
So, especially for an ongoing case that's in front of them, you can't make any comments because you can't have any sort of perceived bias or favoritism towards one side or the other. And
that has to be the hardest part. It has to be. It has to be, especially when you walk in, like with Lori's case, walking in convicted murderer to be retried for if she did it again and attempted it again. How do you not have a bias that you're as a human being?
You know, anything you say could be taken out of context or portrayed that you meant it one way when you meant it another. So we're governed by ethical rules, judicial canons that prevent us from making comments on ongoing cases.
And you don't get to choose your cases here.
No,
They're just assigned.
they're assigned.
Wow.
And you just get like an email or something pops up on the docket like, oh, I have a new case.
Can you imagine how he felt when he got the email that he was assigned Lori Vallow's case? How in the world would you feel? Like my stomach would drop because you know what's coming.
Today for an arraignment or something?
So because we're so specialized, the court commissioner does the arraignment calendar. The clerk's office has some system that they randomly, I picture it like a deck of cards. You know, we have 10 cases today, we're handing them out, you know. So when the commissioner does the arraignment, they'll say, so-and-so, I'm entering a not guilty plea on your behalf. This case is assigned to Judge Beresky. Your first court date in front of him is on such and such date. And yeah, it magically appears on my calendar for whatever date. And then from there on out, I have it unless something changes.
And a lot of times, or most times, you go in not knowing anything about the case.
Yeah, you purposely, we don't do any research. We're prohibited from doing any research, again, by the ethical canons. Both sides want to know that a judge is making the decision based on the information that's in front of the court. So whether it's a
I wonder though let's think about this. If you get someone in your courtroom though that's a convicted anything in another state and being extradited back to you, that's not something that you'd have to do research on. I feel like that would definitely be part of the proceeding. That would just make the most sense to me. That they'd be like, yes, she was convicted in another place. It would. I don't think in this case that he'd have to not know anything about her.
To do something in the pleadings and what's in the indictment and what's in the record, they don't want a judge going out and saying, oh, I saw something on Instagram and I heard X, Y, Z, when it may not even be true. So there's reasons for that you don't research something. Also, if you know a lot about a case before it ever gets to you, you run the risk of having some sort of preconceived idea about the case before you've even seen anyone on it. So it's better to not have that.
So do you have to like avoid watching the news?
No, not necessarily, but I don't go seek those things out. I've had plenty of cases where I'll do a settlement conference, and during the course of the settlement conference, I had a case once where a guy had gone into I think it was a Quick Trip, and asked for a pack of cigarettes, and then just shot the worker in the head point blank. And it wasn't until I was in the settlement conference that I realized, oh, I think I saw this case on the news when it happened. But I don't have a lot more other than that recollection that, oh, maybe I saw this on the news. So no, we're not prohibited from watching the news.
What are your thoughts about cameras in the courtroom?
Oh, good question.
I don't care for them. I think, especially when you've got cases where there's lots of cameras in the courtroom and different angles, I think it just leads to it becoming more of a spectacle than a proceeding.
But in Arizona, correct me if I'm wrong, it's kind of not expected, but cameras basically are allowed in.
They are. There's Arizona Supreme Court rule. There's case law that says the courtrooms are supposed to be open. It's a presumption that the public can be in, that the press can be in. We have cameras in that record our proceedings anyway. So I think there is that strong presumption that cameras can be in the courtroom. It's just a question of how many is appropriate, what kind of angles are appropriate. Are we turning this into some sort of reality TV show when the focus should be actually on the proceeding itself?
That's a great point. And like, obviously I saw, you said, but we need truth and transparency. And I totally get that. The only problem is exactly what he said. They're trying to get a job done. They're trying to prosecute, and all of us are watching. So I can understand from their perspective, like how deep does it go? How much, attention does this bring? Because we still need to focus on our job. Imagine that pressure where every time you look out, everything's filled to the brim, and there's people there, there's reporters there, there's every time you walk outside, there's people holding microphones, cameras. Like, it's just a lot of pressure, and it's all over the news all day, every day. You know what I mean? So I just feel like I understand where they're coming from.
What's the hardest part about being a judge?
The hardest part?
Oh my gosh, hearing all that stuff. It's gotta be.
Just some cases are just really hit home. There's just, sometimes you see some tragedy. You get people in front of you that are going through the worst thing in their lives. You have people that have lost a child or a parent. I think we get a lot of vicarious trauma, and we're expected to be stoic, and that can be difficult.
I was going to ask you that. How do you keep that poker face and not get emotional, or even maybe laugh or smile at certain things?
It can be challenging, yeah.
He's a person, bro. How in the world do you keep your composure and not have an emotional reaction?
I've wanted to laugh. I mean, I have laughed in some proceedings, or I have made maybe a comment that wasn't the wisest to make during a proceeding. But it can be difficult to maintain that stoic, even keel throughout proceedings.
Have you ever had to take a break?
Sure.
To get your emotions under control?
Yeah, I've had cases where I'm just, keep it together. I'm telling myself, don't let them hear the crack in your voice,
What makes...
You know what he's talking about. Obviously, I'm sure he's had other cases, by the way, but...
a good judge?
I think a good judge is one who treats everyone that comes into the courtroom with fairness, respect, and dignity. We say that at the start of our proceedings in criminal court. Everyone has the right to be treated with fairness, respect, and dignity, whether you're the prosecutor, whether you're a victim, whether you're the defendant. Just treat everyone fairly and courteously. I think that goes a really long way to just promoting civility. I know some people in the public get disappointed when we're all not like Judge Judy, right? And that's entertainment. I don't think that's how courtrooms should work.
Do you ever pull out a little bit of Judge Judy, though, in your courtroom? And
I plead the fifth on that. No, I've been known to get snarky or make, a wisecrack here and there. So it's not all stoic all the time.
Right. I wondered, though, if you sometimes feel prohibited.
He's had some stuff that you could put on a T-shirt from court, man. He made me laugh a few times just with how quick he was to it. He is funny.
In expressing your true personality, do you feel the need to always be so serious? And
I think it's one of those read the room situations.
Yeah.
So if I'm doing a settlement conference, it's more casual. I'll have a really casual conversation with the defendant like this about the situation that they're in, about where they see their case going and those sorts of things. So it's really situational. So there have been situations where a joke is made, or tears are shed, those sorts of things. It just depends on the situation. But there's not a requirement that we be stoic. I think part of that stoicism that you see in judges is that they're working really hard at not appearing to have a bias or favoring one side or the other. Because, I remember once there was this judge who had the worst poker face in the world, and the defendant took the stand, and defendant says something, the judge is rolling his eyes and that sort of thing. And the problem with that is if the jury sees that, then they're taking a cue from the judge, and that's a real problem.
You seem to really
He's
want
so
to,
fair.
and all judges really want to protect
That's
the
got to be a
jurors
hard job to be fair, like we talked about.
during these trials.
Yeah.
Have you ever had to declare a mistrial because something goes wrong with the jury?
I've had to declare a mistrial where one of the attorneys said something that they shouldn't have said in front of the jury.
Oh man.
I'm trying to think. I haven't had anything. When I was an attorney, I had a client that freaked out when the jury found him guilty and started fighting with the deputy and had to be dragged into the courtroom or out of the courtroom. But in that case, the jury's job was done. Luckily, if it had happened before the jury had reached their verdict, I don't know what would have happened, if it would have been a mistrial or not, because defendants can't purposely do something that would cause a mistrial.
Right.
So
I asked you about the worst part about being a judge, or the hardest part about being a judge. What's the best part?
the best part is the private bathroom.
I did not expect for him to say that.
Is that what's behind that? Is that what?
You know what I wonder, and two, I would love to ask him, what is it like for people to call you your honor and to wear the outfit? Like, honestly, I'm not, and I mean this by no disrespect. I would have to do some research into our history, but what is with the outfit and why is it your honor? I've always just been a little bit curious about that, because I get it. Like, I understand it from the outside. I just also I would just like more information about it.
Behind your door?
We have a secret bathroom for that.
Wow.
So.
Is there a snack bar back there too?
There's no snack bar.
Oh.
There's no bar. There's no workout room.
Oh, darn.
But in all seriousness, I think I don't know what the best thing is about being a judge. I like to think that there's some respect and dignity in it. I joke that it's nice being a judge because people listen to you in the courtroom and they kind of have to do what you say. Unfortunately, it doesn't translate at home.
Yeah.
So.
So what you say, does that work for your kids?
No, it doesn't.
Well, at least for 8 hours a day, you get that.
Yeah.
What do you think about America's, and now the world's, fascination with true crime?
I don't know what to make of it. For me, it's difficult because I see these things every day, especially on a criminal calendar. So it doesn't hold as much fascination for me. I don't know. Some people, I think it's like watching a car wreck, the fascination with what can go wrong and why is this happening and watching tragedy for some reason. I don't know, but I don't have an answer to that.
But you're not coming home and binge watching the latest true crime show on Netflix.
I am not. My wife, on the other hand, is very into true crime shows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Biggest misconception of being a judge?
I think one of the biggest ones is definitely what I said about the Judge Judy thing. I think the public out there, when they come into court, they expect a judge to be mean or belittle one side or the other, or have these zinger one-liners against one side or the other. And I think they're disappointed when that doesn't happen, which I don't like.
What do you do to
Oh,
unwind?
Maria, I need the wigs. I want powdered wigs on the judge with the curls, just like Pirates of the Caribbean. I need it.
What do I do to unwind? I try to get out and exercise. My wife and I take walks when it's not too hot, walk the dog, go to the gym, go on a hike. There's great preserves here in Phoenix where you can get out and go on a whatever level of hike you want, whether it's moderate to strenuous within, a 5 or 10 minute drive from my house. So those types of things. In the winter, I still go skiing. Idaho boy, living in Arizona, but I still go skiing up in Flagstaff several times a year. Like going to the beach when we can get to the beach. A lot of outdoor stuff, I guess.
Do you have greater ambition as far as another career move? And what would that be?
No, not really.
You don't want to be a legal analyst for East Idaho News or
What's the pay?
fame?
Not for fame.
No, you don't want fame.
No.
He's already got his fame over here.
If the price were right, I suppose I'd have to consider it, right?
Right. Well, I guess maybe teaching at a law school or something like that.
Yeah, I could see myself teaching in the future. I think I will stick with this until I reach my retirement age, but I don't have any ambition to go to the Court of Appeals or anything higher like that. So
Right.
I'm very happy being in a trial court.
Do you foresee or have you experienced yourself challenges facing the legal system? Like if you could change one thing about the legal system, what would it be?
It's a hard-hitting question, Nate. Gee whiz.
One of the biggest challenges on the horizon is how we're going to deal with AI type things. Up until now, it's been very easy. In a case, say a witness says, they're shown a photograph. Does this look like the scene of the crime on the date? Well, yes, it does. That photograph's admitted into evidence. Well, now with AI, with things being manipulated, it's going to be very difficult to determine what's real and what's not real. We're already seeing that in various news sources and things like that. There's videos posted saying it's one thing and it's not even a real thing, it's an AI generated thing. And I think that's going to be a real challenge in courtrooms going forward because
That's crazy, bro. We've talked about this a million times on the channel.
the job in the courtroom is to try to get to the truth of the matter, and that's going to be real challenging when you can't even tell if a video is real or not. We're already seeing cases where, child pornography, for example, it has to be of a real child. So now they're able to run a picture that is real child porn through a program that changes some of it, and now it's showing that it's AI created.
Oh my gosh, that's so sick. How the hell can you get away with that? That makes me want to start throwing punches hard.
So what do we do with that now? Because under the legal definition that we have right now, it's no longer child porn.
That's interesting because Idaho just passed a law where AI porn for children is treated the same.
I'm sure that's going to happen.
Right. I would imagine cases involving children are the hardest.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Those the sex cases, the abuse cases, for sure the hardest.
Would you mind telling me about your family?
Sure. I have a beautiful family.
There's his wife. Everybody slow down. Okay? That's his wife. Okay? She's got her mans. Leave it alone. Leave it alone.
a wife, and we're a second marriage for each of us. So she brought in a daughter, and I brought in a son, and it's just been amazing.
Tell me about your wife.
My wife is great. I think she makes me a better person in a lot of ways. She's taught me a lot of patience, empathy. I think probably she's made me a better judge since I've gotten to know her.
And your kids too?
He's nice. He's just a good guy, honestly.
At least the patient side of things.
The patience side with the kids is a big thing for sure. Having kids, teenage girl, that'll test your patience. The kids really love it too when I tell dad jokes.
Do you have a dad joke that you can share with us?
I have all sorts of dad jokes. They're terrible though. It's like, when does a joke become a dad joke?
When?
When it becomes apparent.
That's a good one.
Da-dun.
I'm going to use that.
Yeah.
What do you guys like to do for fun?
Well, getting everyone on the same page can be difficult, but we do like to, we'll have like a family game night. Some Sunday nights we'll play Uno and Skip Bo and different games like that. We always like to go down to Rocky Point, Mexico and hang out on the beach for a long weekend, get away from the phones and the TVs and all that sort of thing. Just literally swim, play card games on the beach. The kids always want to rent jet skis, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
There's a river here, the Salt River out in East Mesa. We like to go out on that. My wife has a paddleboard, I have a kayak. We drug the kids. They don't love it as much as we do. There's wild horses out there in the river. It's really a great escape from the city, and it's only about a 40-minute drive away.
What's your favorite part about being a dad?
I just, I don't know. I've always loved kids. If you, again, going back to that question, if you had asked me where I saw myself when I was in high school, I would have told you I'd probably have like six kids or something like that. That never worked out for me, but I love it. I wish I had time to have more, but I'm getting too old. I have a friend that's a judge that he had a child at 50, so we joke that he's going to get the best parking at the high school graduation.
Right. Yeah. Tell me about your last vacation.
Last vacation, my wife's from Michigan, and we went up in July to Michigan and toured the whole state from the southeast in Detroit all the way up to the Upper Peninsula, almost to Wisconsin, back down again. I never really enjoyed Michigan that much because we'd usually gone in the winter or things like that. And it was really great to see the state, and going out on the Great Lakes was amazing. You go out there and you would think you're in the middle of the ocean. You can't see land anywhere in some spots. And a lot to offer in Michigan. I didn't realize they're the cherry capital of the U.S.
Oh, I didn't know that either. Yeah. Well, Idaho's the potato capital. So
I get that a lot. Everyone that meets me.
Arizona's the Valley Fever capital. We really want to play games.
When they say, "Oh, you're from Idaho," they always ask if I grew up on a potato farm.
Right.
Yeah.
If I'm back east, I say Idaho, they go Iowa.
I get that too. I once had asked someone asked me if I was going to be going through Des Moines when I went home, and I said, not unless I got really lost.
I met a woman randomly on the street one day a few months ago who said that she was a translator in the court system, and she had been in your courtroom, and she said nothing but praise about you, that everybody respected you, and that you're humble, that you're very humble. And I know once you think you're humble, you're not. So, and I know that this isn't the most comfortable thing for you to do, sit in front of cameras and talk about yourself. But why do you think that's important, an important characteristic for a judge or a person in authority to have?
I think it's important to not appear to be above anyone, not to talk down to anyone, to try to talk to people on their level. Unfortunately, I think some judges will get stuck using legalese and things like that people don't really understand. So I always just try to talk to people in real terms. But I do think that's important to not think you're better than anyone that's appearing in front of you.
I'm sure you've seen some attorneys and judges maybe that have loved being the center of attention, that like the cameras in the courtroom, that like that sort of an environment. That's not you, though.
I don't think so. I think other people might say that maybe I do, but I don't think so.
What do your siblings and your family members think?
You can tell he does not care.
Of your career choice?
Of my career choice?
Of what you're doing now?
I don't know. I was very happy when they all came for when you're appointed as a judge by the governor, it's tradition to have sort of this investiture ceremony, and you have a party afterwards. And I was very happy that they all came. I was like, you don't have to come. It's no big deal, blah, blah, blah. But I was happy they all came.
Who have been some of your role models?
I have several colleagues that I would consider amazing role models. Our current presiding judge is a real role model. I've had, in some regards, I think my wife is a great role model. Yeah, sure, I've had different people. My dad and I have a complicated relationship, but even in that, I would take something from that I would like, and it's same with my mom. I observe all these people, and I observe good qualities in them, and I think I take a little bit from a lot of different people as role models.
I have no issue asking men their age. Women, I'm more careful. But how old are you?
I recently turned 53.
And
there you go.
What age?
You guys have been asking. He's 53. Oh boy. The crushing is still happening.
Can you retire?
I'm vested in retirement now, a percentage of a pension. I would have to look. I think I can, but I can't collect till 62.
Okay.
So I'm looking at around 62.
And do you have plans for when you retire, what you want to do? Move back to Idaho?
So in a perfect world, I think I would have a warm weather or a house maybe here in Arizona in the winter in the nice months, and a house somewhere up north in the summer in the nice months. We've talked about maybe getting a Sprinter van when I retire and just going and touring the country and parts of Canada for, I don't know, 3, 4, 6 months, whatever.
He's such a free spirit, bro. He's as free as his toes are.
Doing that for a while. And then in an ideal world, I kind of like to be on a beach somewhere in retirement for part of the year.
Yeah.
Puerto Vallarta, I don't know. Sounds good to me.
This is one of those deep questions that, it's hard to answer right on the spot, but how do you want to be remembered?
I don't know that I care how I'm remembered. And what I mean by that, I think so many people chase fame or glory or whatever, and you could be the most famous person in the world, and after 50 years after you die, no one's going to remember who you are, or maybe you're an answer to a trivia question. So it's not that I want to be remembered as a scoundrel or a terrible person, but at the same time, I'm not out seeking some sort of fame to be remembered a certain way or something like that. I think just be a good person in life and things will work out.
And with that, we were done. And I know many of you have said, did you end it with, "Are you done yet?" or "Are you done?" The phrase that he said to Lori.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was a good interview. I got to give Nate his props. I think that was a good interview. Obviously, I didn't expect to hear much about Lori because after Nate was pretty clear. You got to give him credit. He didn't try to bait anybody in there. Good guy, man. Wish him nothing but the best in the world. He went through a lot. He anytime I think about either one of the judges, prosecutors, anybody involved, I just think about the almost bond in a sense of not the word shared trauma, but just there's a few people like the jurors and people who are just really that had to go through it every day and just were part of that. So big shout out to Nate for the interview. Shout out to our boy. You know what? I'm sorry. Let me restart. Shout out to Your Honor, Judge Beresky. I hope he does not read this chat because he is whoa. But yeah, big shout out to Nate and East Idaho News for this. If you guys want to go watch that interview, head over to Nate's page and you guys can see the whole thing uninterrupted by our nonsense over here. I love you guys. I appreciate you. Thank you for being here tonight. You guys, we have video for you tomorrow, and then on Thursday we're going to be posting a live about shame. It's kind of a series that I feel like I'm doing with us where we just tackle one specific thing and go off on that. So we're going to do that shame live on Thursday, just breaking down what shame is, why it's so important to recognize and not to take it on and how it can change your life. So, all right. Love you guys. Appreciate you. And you know what? Frick dis. Love you guys, man.